Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rather Late programme. Today's episode is quite an odd one. Well, it's not an odd one. This series, this new season of this show, is discussing how I've enjoyed being on projects. We're talking about stuff that I've done in the past few years, so let's get into it.
The Rather Late programme with your host Bash Dinsmore. Brought to you by Tea and Biscuits. Ladies and gentlemen, your host Bash Dinsmore.
Welcome back everyone to the Rather Late programme with your host, YouTube's Bash Dinsmore. Today we are talking about a project that has been part of my life for the past couple of years. We're talking about mind games. There are some more famous versions of the show called Mind Games, but this one is different. The synopsis for this show is the following. An eccentric genius forms a network of super geniuses to act as the last line of defense against hackers. That was the original premise, although it had developed. It had changed over years. It had. The show starred Thomas Grant, who is an English actor, and he had done over 140 episodes. The show had 177 in total. Thomas skipped a couple of seasons so he could work on a couple of films, but for the majority of it, he was the lead actor. And even when he wasn't the lead in those couple of seasons, he was a guest. This show started in 2015 and ended in 2025. It's a decade worth of mind games. Back in the day, back in the pilot in Series 1, the main cast of the show consisted of Thomas Grant, Catherine Anderson, Brandon Smith, Matt Angel, Chad Davis, Charlotte McCalligan, and Richard Anderson. And back then, guest stars included Tom Jones, Jamie Jarvis, Brian Ryan, and Kenneth Smith, which is a nice sort of knit group of people. Whilst the finale, however, the main cast in Series 16 starred Thomas Grant, Jennifer Stone, Patrick Adams, John Tyler, Kate Lyons, Graham Parkhurst, Heather Holland, George Wood, Andre Harris, with Bash Dinsmore, and Hamish Clark. Special guests included Richard Anderson, James Mason, Catherine Anderson, Brandon Smith, Philip Baxter, Mark Thomas, Charlotte McCalligan, Jack Turner, Artemis Crawford, and Craig Sullivan. Guests included Tom Jones, Kenny McCalligan, Julia Holland, Alex Duncan, Tegan Javanka, Todd Rice, and Kenneth Smith. This show has been the mothership for a vast universe. During its run, Mind Games was responsible for 2 spin-off shows. One titled The Section and one titled NSB. The Section started in 2024 and is currently on Series 3. The Section followed a character from Mind Games who was a side character called Jonathan Stone. And the synopsis of this show is that Jonathan Stone is demoted from general back to sergeant and now is sent back into the field with a new team. Not that this would happen in real life, I don't think. I think you can't be demoted that far. If it was that far, you'd be kicked out. But it makes for a great show. Whilst Mind Games was created by Edward Tracy and executive produced by Edward Tracy, Julie Russell and Colin McGranahan, The Section was created by both Edward Tracy and Colin McGranahan, and Colin McGranahan was the showrunner. Back in the pilot in Series 1, the cast consisted of Nick Sampson, Emily Michaels, Will James Watson, Jack Turner, Holly Hunt, Mark Schumann, Laura White, with Grant Emerson and Sean McLean. Recurring guests and special guests included Thomas Grant, Philip Baxter, Christopher Knight, Mary Flockhart, Amy Williams, Lewis Wells, with Katie MacDonald and Michael Kelly. However, most recently in Series 3, the main cast consists of Nick Sampson, Emily Michaels, Jack Turner, Holly Hunt, Laura White, John Danvers, with Lewis Wells and Grant Emerson. Recurring guests and special guests include Philip Baxter and James Mason, Sarah Gray, Dwight Sawyer, Glenn Moore, and Michael Kelly. And then our second spin-off show, called NSB, standing for the National Security Bureau, aired its pilot in 2024 as well, starring Brian Ryan, Catherine Anderson, Mark Perry, Chris Ward, Victoria Park, with Andre Harris and Gary McKenzie. Recurring guest stars include Todd Rice, Tyler Mack, Jipo Bell, Cynthia Robertson, Ben Shore, and Jamie Evans. However, these guys are still on Series 2, whilst we are in 2026. However, surprisingly, the main cast has changed a bit. It stars Brian Ryan, Mark Perry, Chris Ward, Victoria Park, Tyler Mack, Jipo Bell, with Nicole Murray, and Andre Harris. These two shows have done well in their own right, led by Brian Ryan and Nick Sampson, who were of course characters on the main show. Brian Ryan had a more prominent part, but Nick Sampson was also in Mind Games. Here we come to me. I played a character called James Riley. Now, James Riley was a member of Fortitude in the UK. However, he was on loan to the Americans for a few years, and so helped out Scorpion. I eventually ended up in 29 episodes of Mind Games, portraying James Riley in Series 13, Episode 1, titled Imperfect, which was an episode that followed Hamish Clark's character, Alexander Jones. I guest wrote that episode, and I had a major task of writing out two very big main cast members. One being Dan Stevens as Captain Jack Thomas, and one being Hamish Clark as Alexander Jones. Of course, one of the stipulations for me guest writing was that I could get to play my own character. We did two things. Spoilers now, so turn around, turn off your ears, close your ears. We killed off Captain Jack Thomas. His story was at an end, we killed him off. That sent Alexander Jones hurtling in a world of hurt, and unfortunately sent him spiralling. James Riley arrived in the States and decided to meet up with his friend Alexander. He had spent the whole episode helping Alex get through the pain and trauma. Have a listen to this scene. Don't! Go away, James. No! You need me. You need a friend, and I'm right here. I'm not going to let you use a permanent solution to a temporary problem. James. Alex, everyone loves you. You're just saying that. Nobody's there for you. Then I'll be there for you. Alex, please. Sometimes life doesn't work out the way you like. Sometimes it hurts so bad you can't even cry. You're up on the edge, feeling like you're out of time, but it's not too late to change your mind. It's alright for you, James. You're a Christian. You're perfect. Brother, I'm Christian, not Christ himself. Only Jesus was perfect. I thought you were supposed to be perfect. You seem perfect. Alex, I'm far from it. The thing that everyone gets wrong about Christianity is that they think we have to be perfect. And the minute we're not, they roast us. Alex, I'm not perfect. Nowhere near it. I sin and I fail and I mess up all the time. Just like everyone else in this world. I sit in bed and I cry and I pray and I talk to God hoping that I'll get close to perfection, but all of us falter from grace. Alex, even me. There will never be a perfect Christian, but there is the perfect Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ. I don't know if I can go on. We'll help you. I'll help you. And we'll get you some professional help. You're not alone. Alex. You're not alone. I have been where you are. Even with my faith, I've felt so broken and so alone and felt like wanting to end it all. But the truth is, you're not alone. So by the end of the episode, Alexander Jones, played by Hamish Clark, left the team, and James Riley took him back to the UK. In Series 14, I was asked to return and reprise my role of James Riley. There was something about him that interested the showrunner. I appeared in 3 episodes in Series 14, episode 3, 18 and 25, and ultimately returned in Series 15 and 16 as a series regular. In Series 15 I joined the cast in episode 4, and I appeared from episode 4 all the way through to episode 15, with only one episode that I didn't appear in, which was episode 12. I was added to the main cast, and thanks to my status, I was given the With title. And Series 15 showed James Riley joining the team during a major event, and it just showed that he was able to join a team and fit in and help. I eventually returned in Series 16 from Episode 5, although I did appear in Episode 1, from Episode 5 through to 15 as a series regular. This time, because I had been there for 2 seasons now, James had settled into a senior role on the team, acting as a consultant advisor for a lot of the newbies, whilst sometimes taking the lead on certain missions. Series 16 was the culmination of 16 series and 10 years of mind games. Series 16 included 2 very important episodes as the last 2 episodes. Episode 14 was, or is, the backdoor pilot to the new spin-off titled Fortitude. And then episode 15 was the finale, titled Fade Away. So, for the backdoor pilot to Fortitude, we had 2 storylines running. One being the Fortitude background, and then 2 being a side story with the character Jack Sinclair and his partner. This episode starred Thomas Grant, Jennifer Stone, John Tyler, Kate Lyons, Graham Parkhurst, Heather Holland, George Wood, Andre Harris, with Bash Dinsmore and Hamish Clark. Special appearance by David Cooper. Special guest stars James Mason, Freya Allen, Kevin Davis. Guest starring Chris White, Irene Dowry Impel, Adam Bray, Edward Tracy, Izzy Gentile, Matt Noble, and with Rhys Dell, co-starring Melissa Taylor, David White, and Mark Green. This episode was a backdoor pilot. Rhys Dell played a character called Malcolm Rhodes, who instructed the team that there had been an issue back in the UK and he needed help. Somehow, his missing technology ended up in Manhattan. Anyways, when James and Alexander realise that their main team was being used by the director, they had to call him back up. Luckily, Malcolm Rhodes was one step ahead and called in a couple of members from James's old team. Introducing Kevin Jacobs, Jessica Cox, and Mark Spencer. Kevin, played by Chris White, is one of James's old friends. Kevin is one of James's trusted allies and is also a very good field agent. Jessica Cox is a probationary agent at Fortitude in London, and she's proved herself on countless occasions. Mark Spencer is an ex-soldier and a part-time member of Fortitude, and is also the partner of Kate Carmichael, who is part of Fortitude. Now, whilst only a couple of characters from Fortitude appeared, including Chris White, Irene Dalrymple, Adam Bray, Izzy Gentile, and Rhys Dell, they would soon fit into a hierarchy within Fortitude. And Fortitude would star, eventually, Bash Dinsmore, Emily Fleeton, Chris White, Jacob McCormack, Ellen Chalepis, with Kelly Eddy and Graham Crabb. Recurring guests include Neil O'Hara, Dylan Al-Kadi, Irene Dalrymple, Gareth Griffiths, and Rhys Dell. Here, have a sneak peek of the backdoor pilot to Fortitude. Guys, you know Malcolm Rhodes?
Mr. Rhodes.
Jacobs? Cox?
What's the up?
Please take a seat.
Go on.
As you all know, the Spectre family are dangerous. Only one member seems to be distancing themselves, and that's Sarah Spectre. She's notified us that my company has been broken into.
By who?
Aiden.
Hold on a second, he's been in the wind for years.
Correct.
What did he steal?
He stole a prototype device that was designed to help save energy. However, this device uses chemicals that aren't necessarily stable.
Ah, Jesus. Why make a device that...
I said it was a prototype, nothing in production.
Shit, so this guy has a bomb, essentially.
Yes. The only intel I have is that he's hiding in a warehouse in Brooklyn.
Got it. Wheels up in 50. Anyways, I won't speak too much on Fortitude, because we will have our own Fortitude episode of this podcast. However, that finally brings me on to the finale of Mind Games, titled Fade Away. Rory and his team must face their hardest challenge yet. Rory reaches out to a lot of old friends. Written by Colin McGranahan and Edward Tracy, directed by Edward Tracy, starring fucking everyone. Literally every main character returned to the show. I've already been through the main cast, but the recurring guests: Richard Anderson, James Mason, Artemis Crawford, Gary Mackenzie, Mark Thomas, Elizabeth Smith, Craig Sullivan, Kenneth Smith, Brian Ryan, Nick Sampson, Dan Stevens, Izzy Palmer, Matt Angel, Emma Jones, Chad Davis, Nicole Murray, Mark Schumann, Colin Dalton, David Harper, Danielle Bradbury, Michael White, Matthew Baker, Jeremy Jones, Arthur Smith, Ernie White, Alistair Moon, Dwight Sawyer, Clara Huang, Lewis Wells. There's so many people in this cast, in this finale. And that's unfortunately what a finale does. It brings everyone back for one last hurrah. But it really was one last hurrah. And whilst characters will have the potential to appear in the spin-offs, the section, NSB, Fortitude, they're not main characters anymore. Their stories are done. They can return to the universe as guests, but that's what they will be. Guests. Edward Tracy is now focusing on the other shows as overall creative, whilst Colin McGranahan takes the reign of the section and showruns that. Michael Green is showrunning NSB, and I will be the showrunner of Fortitude. But for now, that's the end of the episode. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you all for coming, and I'll see you next time.